Good evening. Today is the 2nd of February, about 8:36 p.m. here in New York, and we will be starting our first session of the February batch of the SoapUI Web Service Testing Tool. My name is Irfan, and I will be your trainer for the next 4 weeks. So let's talk a little bit about how we're going to be running this course. This session will be recorded, and every session that we're going to be conducting will be recorded. So it's going to be a 2-hour session. We will be meeting on Tuesdays and Thursdays between the hours of 8:30 to 10:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now, weather permitting, we will be finishing this course in about 4 weeks from now. But in case, because we are doing this course in the winter months, and at times in New York it could be crazy. So, if you have to cancel a class, I will let you guys know well in advance. That way, we will sort of like push it off by probably like a class, or maybe maximum like 2 classes. So there will be 8 sessions all in all. All right. Now you will be learning a lot in this course. So I'm not going to be reading bullet by bullet what you're going to be learning, but this page, if you go from TrainingRite.com, if you go to courses, and under courses, if you go and click on SoapUI Web Service Testing, you will come across the content of the course. And as you can see, these are pretty much everything that we will be learning as a part of this course. Now, are there any recommended books for this course? Well, the way we're going to be conducting this course is I will be giving you a lot more than what you would be expecting or what you need. The reason for that is the content of this course will be more than enough for you to handle any sort of assignment or any sort of task you have you'll be given. So majority of the stuff that we will be covering in here basically is a plug and play, meaning that you would be writing some scripts, and those scripts are reusable, meaning that you could put it on your flash drive and take it to any of the projects that you would be working on, and just use that code with some minor modification. Now, how much of the course is going to be scripting? Well, I would say that about a good 40 to 50% of the course is going to be some scripting, serious scripting. We will be getting into intense scripting. So that begs the question as who are the candidates that should be going through this course? What sort of prerequisite is needed for you to be a part of this course? Well, I just want you to come with the right attitude, even though we'll be using a language called Groovy to write our scripts. But Groovy is something similar to Java. So you could say that it's a distant cousin of Java. So if anybody had done any Java in their previous life, that would be of a big help. But if you, let's say, if you have not done anything, when it comes to programming, not a problem. You don't have to panic. And the reason for that is we're going to be doing everything from scratch. I'm going to be walking you through holding your hand step by step, and every session we will be teaching you. We will be putting a serious effort together, you and me, and the end goal here is when we come out of this course in 4 weeks from now, you should have so much of knowledge and so much of SoapUI under your belt that you should be able to apply for a job, and then not only pass the interviews, but when you have been put to task, when they ask you to do something, you should be very easily be able to handle that. The reason for that is I will make you do all those things as a part of this course. Now, how is it going to be possible that we will be covering everything like that? Well, basically this is what we're going to be doing. You will see me talking on day one, which is today. You'll find me talking. I'll be, sort of like trying to lay out the plot so that you get an idea of, where we are going to be going in the next 4 weeks. But after today, it is going to be completely after today, 100% hands-on, meaning that we will not spend a minute talking about something which we will not be doing. Meaning everything that I will be covering after today's class is going to be, completely hands-on, meaning that this is something that you will be doing at work. So we will be building some frameworks. The frameworks that we will be building would require you to write some code, and that code will be plug and play, meaning that I will be writing all that code right in front of your eyes, and then you will have an assignment. There will be 8 assignments, 8 classes, 8 assignments. So each assignment will cover a scenario that you will come across when you're working on a real life project. You would be coming across the similar scenario. So at that time, you don't have to panic because you have already done it over here, right? So we've been providing this training for quite some time now, almost like 5-6 years, and our training had been used by many corporations. So we provide corporate training. So we go out and then provide these kind of trainings all over America. So the content of the course you will see is going to be pretty intense. Intense in the sense that I will guarantee you that you will be standing on your 2 feet and then be able to do anything that is thrown at your way. So what are we going to be learning? Basically, it is going to be 2 types of web service testing that we would be doing in here. One is the XML-based web services, and the other one is REST web services. Now, the course is equally divided. One half of the course is going to be XML-based web services, the first half, and the second half of the course is going to be REST service testing. Okay. Now, the tool that we will be using is SoapUI. So SoapUI is a tool from a company called SmartBear. So if I take you to a site, SoapUI.org, this is basically a tool. SoapUI is a tool. SmartBear is the company. SmartBear has tons of other tools, right? We're not going to be looking into those other tools. We primarily be looking at SoapUI because this course is all about SoapUI. So I particularly took you to the SoapUI.org website. Now, over here, there is a lot of content over here on their website. Let's say after today's class, I know that some of you folks are registered already, and you would be you have already paid, and you would be continuing with us. And some of you folks are auditing meaning that you want to see how the training is going to be conducted, and who is conducting it, whether the guy is capable of imparting the training. So yeah, you are auditing it. So now, for everyone, I would like to, draw your attention to the fact that SmartBear is a fantastic company, right? It's basically a European company. They are based out of either Sweden, I guess, or Northern Europe, and they have been, coming out with excellent products, and SoapUI is one of the best product they got. And SoapUI has big traction in the market. A lot of companies have started using, a lot of corporations have started using SoapUI as the tool. Now, SoapUI comes in 2 forms, all right? There is SoapUI, which is the free version, the SoapUI open source or free version. And then there is something called SoapUI Pro. And SoapUI Pro is basically your the licensed based version, meaning that you have to buy it. So how much is it going to cost? Is it going to cost like $10,000 or $5,000 or $1,000 or none of those numbers, right? It is going to be under $500. So there is a huge advantage if you if you use the SoapUI Pro version, right? And the latest version of that is called the ReadyAPI. They're sort of like, repackaged it, and they've added some more modules into it, and then they've added, a lot of features into it. And the latest version is the ReadyAPI, which is the licensed version of it, meaning you have to pay about $400 or $500 to get it. But the advantage that you're going to get out of this tool is tremendous. So we will be covering both the tools. I'm going to be teaching you the SoapUI, which is the open source, as well as the Pro version, which is the ReadyAPI, the latest version of it, which is the Pro version. Now, this site or SmartBear offers you some certification on it. I've been providing this training again for about like 6 years or so, and we have trained hundreds of people all over the globe, and you don't even have to finish the course. I mean, I have seen people who come and take our training, and as soon as you make the payment, we will give you the videos, and of course you'll be coming to the classes. And I've seen people who take this training, and in about like 4 or 5 days, they have completed the training because they've watched the videos, and then let's say they don't want to go through the whole 1 month of training, live training. So you could just watch the videos, and in about a week's time, you're going to be ready for the interviews. And believe it or not, I mean, it might sound I'm exaggerating, but there is 100% truth in what I'm saying. Many people within the first week of the training, they're getting jobs, and that they're getting high paying jobs, decent amount of money. By the way, if you are a manual tester, and if you want to get into automation, SoapUI is one of the tools that is almost mandatory for you to learn in today's time. Today, meaning this is 2016, there's a lot of web service testing jobs in the market. So if you want to get into automation, SoapUI is the tool that you should be learning. So certification, which is offered by them, is it needed? It's basically up to you if you want to do that. It is not. Not to put down the company or their certification, but it's okay to have it. Any certification is good to have, but it is not mandatory. It's not as valuable as the other certifications out there. If you have it, good. If you don't have it, don't even worry about it, right? Because what you need is the ability to do work, and this training, particularly what we're going to be offering you, is a completely hands-on and job-oriented training. So at the end of 4 weeks or 8 sessions with me, you are ready to handle any project that you're going to be getting. So let's talk about the jobs that are available today. So if you go to dice.com, and if you look for SoapUI, which is a web service testing tool, if you look for SoapUI, you would be surprised to see the amount of jobs that are available all over. Now, I have this funny story to tell you. I received a phone call yesterday, right? I received a phone call yesterday, and the person on the other side, he said, Mr. Irfan, first of all, I want to begin this conversation by thanking you. And the reason for that is I am not your student. But I have watched a bunch of videos on YouTube that you have, put out, and I watched. I mean, sometimes we put lot more than is needed, and sometimes we take them out. So, those videos which are there. So he watched those videos, and he says, just to check it out, I floated my resume. And this happened somewhere in the Virginia area. So he said he got a phone call, and then they set up an interview. And he says, I have not taken your course. I just watched some of the videos on YouTube, and I took the interview. I passed the interview, and then they offered me $100, and I swear, these are his words. He says they offered me $125,000 job just after watching your videos, and those are free videos. Those are not paid videos. So you can imagine the paid training is going to be 100 times, or more than what you have out there on the free. So bottom line is, I mean, he said, I don't want to take that job. I have not accepted that job, but I was offered 125,000 just based on those videos. Okay, and I just out of curiosity, I said, why are you not taking that job? He says, I already have a job that pays me pretty close to, what they're offering, but I just wanted to, try, and then I found out that that's what they are paying, and out of nowhere, just watching the videos, now I want to buy your training. And then he ended up becoming a student late last night, yesterday. So but he's going to be just he because we sell the videos as well as we sell the live training, so he ended up getting the videos for $299. All right. Okay. So the point that I'm making here is there are a lot of jobs out there. There are a lot of jobs out there. It really doesn't matter what part of the country you are in, from Detroit, Michigan, to Quincy, Massachusetts, to Morrisville, North Carolina, to California, Tucson, California, to Illinois, to Durham, North Carolina, San Jose, Bay Area, San Francisco, yada, yada, yada. So there are many, 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 many jobs out there, right? Okay. So that tells us that the market is there, right? The market is there. Now, do we have enough knowledge that we could even apply for those jobs? And that is the objective here through this training for the next 4 weeks, and that's what we are going to be trying. I can assure you I will do more than it takes to transfer the knowledge. Just a little bit about myself. I have about 23 years of experience in IT. I started my career in the year 1990. Actually, I did my master's in 1996, and since then I've been doing it. And before that, basically, I was a Visual Basic programmer at that time, and then I got into .NET in the year 2000, and then I got into SharePoint, and then I moved myself onto the Java side, and then in software automation, I got myself into the year 2009, and since 2009, about 7 years purely software testing is what I have been doing. But before that, I did a lot of development, and then I was a SharePoint architect. So that's my profile. All in all, about 23 years of experience. That's what I have. So I will do my best to transfer my knowledge, and that's a guarantee from my side. So we have to make this an interactive session, meaning that if you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to address your questions. So any time, hang on for a second. Anytime okay, sorry about that. I think there was a little bit of a glitch with the audio, so I paused myself. I was not talking, so I think we should be good now. So I was saying that we should make it as an interactive session, meaning that anytime you have any questions, feel free to jump in and make sure that all your questions are answered. So we would like to make it interactive. So there are two ways you could interact with me. So I have muted you all just in case if there's any activity in your I don't know, if from your living room you are attending this course, from your libraries, from your bedroom, from wherever you are. Occasionally people have young kids or they have pets, and we don't want to have like a interference in our training. So what I have done is I've muted you all. So if you need to talk with me, just click on that raise a hand icon, and it'll flash next to you, and then I will be more than happy to unmute you and talk to you. The other way of passively interacting with me is through the chat window. So if you could type in the chat window, I will be reading, and I will make sure that I will address that. Now, anybody, any questions? Again, you don't really have to wait till the tail end of the session, because usually at the end of the session, I will have about a good 5 to 10 minutes for the Q&A. So if you have any questions, you could ask me at that time or jump in anytime. If you feel that I'm ignoring you, I'm actually not. I probably am in the middle of my thought, and I would finish that thought, and then I would come back and then address your question or your concern. All right. So we never try to ignore anyone here, and that's the objective. That's the goal here, that we try to bring everyone in so that we can collectively meet our objective, which is at the end of the 4 weeks, you all should be well versed in testing. Okay, so let's get the ball rolling here. So first things first, we're going to be talking a little bit about what a web service is, and how we could go about testing web service, and how this SoapUI as a tool is different from other tools like QTP or UFT or Selenium or other tools like that. How is it going to be, how is it different from it? Well, to understand that, we have to talk a little bit about the architecture, right? So bear with me. I am talking to you. I want you to listen to me, and I want you to indulge into it. I want you to make sure that you are following what I'm saying. And if you lose me at any point, if you find me going too fast, if you find me going too slow, so just talk to me. All right. Okay. Now, software testing as a manual tester, right? You all know that what you got to do. So basically, what are we doing in software testing? We are testing applications, right? So let's talk a little bit about software applications. So if we are talking about software applications, I see software applications as belonging to one of the following. There are, believe it or not, mainframes, and then there is something called a client server or a desktop apps, and then there is something called the web applications, and then there is something like the mobile applications, right? Okay, so these are the different types of applications. Now, unfortunately or fortunately, we will not be doing any mainframe testing, right? Now, what we will be doing is basically our software application is basically what we'll be doing is our part of the software testing that we'll be doing is a particular piece of the software which is called the web service. So that's what we will be testing. We will be testing web service. Now, so we got to find out what this web service is and where does it fit in, whether are they a part of the client server systems, are they a part of web applications, are they a part of mobile applications. So we need to understand where this little piece fits into it, right? So let me walk you through and tell you this story and go through a scenario. And while I'm doing that, if you have any questions, feel free. So there's something in here from you spell your name Ihsan. Ihsan has let me see if it is a question or if it is a comment. For the SoapUI Pro part that you will be covering, how will we use it if it is not the free version? Okay, the answer to that question is in the second day. Now, you will be able to use it. Don't worry about it. I will show you everything as how to use it. Don't worry about it. You don't have to spend any money. I will show you how to use it, but I will be answering that question in the second session. Today is free for all. Everybody, whether they're registered, not registered, they're all here. Now, in order to show you as how to use that, you have to come back for the next class, and then that's when we have limited crowd, and then I will be showing you as how you should be using it at that time. Okay, so thank you for that question, and anyone, any question, anytime is welcome. So with that, let us continue. So we know that there are different types of applications. There's a client-server application, there's a web application, mobile application. Now, give an example of the web application. Well, the web application, it is basically something that runs in a browser, right? So that's what is your web application, right? So this runs in browsers. Now, there can be different browsers. They can be Chrome, they can be Firefox, there can be Opera, there can be Apple Safari, they can be anything, right? Now, mobile applications, as we all know, they run on your mobile devices like your smartphones or your tablets or your whatnot, right? I mean, very soon they will also be running in your, this is a watch, right? You can imagine I have a very bad drawing in here, but this is the watch. So basically, your mobile applications will be using web services. Your web applications will be using web services. Your client-server applications will be using web services. I'm going to be giving you an example of all this as we move along in this course. So let's understand what a web service is. In order to understand a web service, first of all, we have to understand an application. So I will take a web application as an example. So what is a web application, right? Something that runs in a browser. Can you give me some example? Well, I would say that, how about if I show you one and then you say that, is that a web application? Okay, so if we go to, let's say, if we go to attwireless.com. All right. Okay. So this is about AT&T, right? This is their application. This is their application. Now, what does this application do? This web application do? Just to give you an example, I mean, there's so many features in here, as you can see. Just to give you an example, and you and I and everyone who is in this session probably could relate to it, because we all have cell phones, right? And I particularly took you to AT&T Wireless, and then so that we all know that we have cell phones. Everyone has a cell phone. That is not necessarily true for a landline, because some of us, we don't have a landline anymore, right? I, for one, don't have a landline anymore because I don't see a need for it. I mean, I have 7 cell phones. I mean, I have my personal and 2 for my business, and then 4 other for my family members. I have 7 phones, but I don't have a landline because I don't see a need for it. So anyways, coming back over here, this is an application. What does an application do? Well, depending on what it is, right? So in this case, if I log in, right, not that I would like to log in here, but if I log in, I'll have a username and and a password. When I log in, it'll show me what? All my phone lines. It'll show me things like where I have called, and about my my billing. I mean, how many what's my balance, everything about that particular business it is talking about, right? Okay, let me take you to another site, and this site, let's say, is Amazon.com, right? This is about a different business here. This is the retail industry. So if I log in here, it'll show me that I have, whatever I have, Prime or whatever that account, and it shows me everything that I have purchased. I mean, my orders, my this and that about this particular business. So every business, right, or every entity, every business, let's say, will have a web application. Almost every business will have a web application, and that web application is made up of, that software is made up of few components. So let's talk a little bit about that web application. If you have a web application or any application, there are layers, there are parts to it, right? There are parts to it. So let me talk about these layers, or or in software, these are called tiers. So there can be n-tier architecture. So one of the tiers is the GUI tier, right? Or the front end, as they say. So this is the front end part of it. And then this is the BLL, business logic layer. So this is the middle layer, right? So there's a front end, there's a middle layer, and then this is the back end, right? So this is more like the data access layer. So graphical user interface, business logic layer, data access layer. So when the software is built, that software is basically all of these three things together. So you have designers, who will be designing the front end, and you have programmers who would be basically writing the logic in here, and then that logic is basically, depending on what the business is, that logic is going to push the data into a database, right? Because every application will have a database. All right. Okay. So your developers, they will decide what language they will use to write this. So let's say if it is a Java platform, then they will decide like, okay, Java is the language, and then when we build, right, we have to deploy it onto the servers. So we are talking about the deployment. So it is going to be, this application will be deployed on the server, right? So that server will have some operating system. So whether we have Unix or Linux or Windows, so that's the operating system of the server, where all this code, the developers will be writing the code in Java that is going to be deployed here, right? That is going to be deployed here. All right. Okay. Now that part of that code will be about the front end. Part of the code will be about the front end. Those are basically something like HTML pages, right? And they will use, the front end could be, these days they are using something called Angular, right? Or HTML5, Angular JS, right? Or Node.js, right? So these are the things that they are using these days today, right? I mean, going back a few years ago, there was pretty big on Flash and something called Silverlight and things like that. But today they are using the client side frameworks, right? JavaScript has made a big time comeback now. So JavaScript was around for many years, but it had slowed down. But now it has come back in a big way, because AngularJS, Node.js, and many such front side technologies are based on JavaScript. So you have designers and developers who will be purely working on the front end. And then there will be guys who will be working, who are very strong in Java, and they will be using something called a Spring framework. They will be using something called a Struts framework. They will be using something called TIBCO for the middle layer, right? And there's a Java messaging system and all that. So these are all developers who will be writing that code, right? And or let's say if you have .NET guys, and the .NET people, they will be using something, the language will be either a C# .NET or VB .NET, and then things they will be using is something called a WPF, and that is Windows Presentation Foundation. It uses something called XAML, XAML. So this is all, I mean, I don't want to scare you, but this is what from a developer's perspective, this is what they will be using, right? Now, you and I, we are here to do web service testing. And so far, you have not seen me talking anything about web service, but everything about everything else but the web services, right? So I'm just trying to give you an idea that when an application is built, the application can be divided into multiple layers, and there is a front layer, there's a middle layer, there's a a data layer, and developers can be using either .NET or Java or so many other things like PHP and Cold Fusion, Markup, many other things they could be using to build the whole application. So when they're building the application, the application is doing something. I'll take the simplest example of the application. Now, do you agree that in the application, almost every application, there is a piece there is a module of the application that is called authorization, right? And authentication, right? This piece is there in almost every application. You will find this piece. What is authorization and authentication and authorization? Basically, this is in simple words, it's nothing but your login feature, right? So you will have a username, right? And you'll have a password, right? And you will have let's say reset or login, and then you will enter something in here. Hear me out, right? This part of what you see, right now, the way it is, right? Where does it fit? Is it GUI? Is it BLL? It is DAL? Where does it fit? Just take a guess. Where does it fit? Where do you think? Right? And if you give me a wrong answer, that's fine. That's fine, because we are in a class, and the whole idea is I want to draw you into this conversation. So I ask you a question, and I expect that you would say something, so that tells me that you are there and we are having a conversation here. So my question is, this is looking at what we have, the username and password, and this little piece. Where does it belong? So I mean, do you think it is data? Do you think it's business? Do you think it's GUI? Now, some of you responded. It says that the way it is it looks to me like a front end, right? And some of you are saying that, well, it looks to me like a back end. And some of you are saying it could be all three, right? It could be all three. Now, I'll say that all of you are right, right? And the reason for that is it's a combination of all three. And the way it looks, it's the front end. But what it is going to do is all about the middle layer as well as the back end, right? So that's what it is. So let's talk a little bit about it. And the reason I am doing it is so that you have an understanding of where the web service fits into it, right? What is a web service and where does it fit into it? Okay, so if you give me a minute, and if you say that, okay, this is the design, the designers had designed, this is the box where we have to enter, let's say, the phone number, right? And this is the password, right? And this is the login, and this is the reset, right? Okay, so the front end guy, the designers, they have already designed it. So a designer, front end guys, they designed it, right? So they designed it. Now, what is the behavior of it? What is it supposed to do? What I think it is supposed to do is, if I enter some number, let's say 73299866650, and if I enter some password, which we will not be seeing because it's all asterisks, and if I click on it, right, what is it supposed to do? Right? It's supposed to take this data, right? The phone number, right? And the password. It's supposed to take the data and go somewhere, right? So where is it going to go? Now I am sitting here in New Jersey, right? And let's say I open an application, attwireless.com. When I enter this and that, right? When I enter here, when I enter this number, when I entered here, right? And I entered some password. When I do that, right? And when I hit that. Now, what is the understanding? What is happening right now? Why it gave me this, the user password did not match, blah, blah, blah. Why did it do that? How it happened? I mean, if you go back here, when we entered this, it took my username and password, and it went somewhere. Where? It went to a server of AT&T, and it could be anywhere on planet Earth, right? I mean, AT&T being an American company, I'm hoping and I'm thinking that the server is somewhere in America. I mean, do you really care about where it is? I mean, If you want to, you should know the geographic location, but you as a tester, I as a tester, I don't really care where it is. It could be in Boston, it could be in Dallas, it could be in Chicago, it could be in San Francisco, it could be God knows where. It really doesn't matter. What matters is it is sending some data onto the server, right? And something happened here in the server, and then I get some information says that the username and password is not correct. So let's talk what is happening when it comes here to the server, right? When the application is built, the code, the Java code or the .NET code, the developers, this is called the production server. This is called the production server in case of AT&T, right? Now, let's say production is when you're going live. Let's say if we are not live, then we are testing it. So this will be the test servers. So on this server, the developers, when they are done with the code, they are going to do what? They are going to push this code onto this server. So they are going to deploy. So when they deploy the code, right? When they deploy the code, when you make a request, when you are testing it, you are coming in here. So you are sending it to the code, and the code will take that and then come back and give you some information that it's good or bad or whatever. Let's talk about this a little bit, and I will take another 5 minutes, and in this next 5 minutes, I'm going to give you some solid information about the architecture. Now, this is called service-oriented architecture, right? SOA, service-oriented architecture. So bear with me when I am telling you about these things, just bear with me. So in case of a web application, here is the browser. From the browser, when you click on a button from the browser, technically what happens is this data is sent across to the server. And the way it sends across to the server is using a protocol called HTTP protocol. HTTP stands for hypertext transfer protocol, right? So HTTP hypertext transfer protocol. Now, what is HTTP? It's a protocol. It's a set of rules that dictates that when you're moving the data from point A to point B, the data has to be, in a certain format. It needs to be packaged in a certain format, and stuff like that. So all those rules are in here, meaning that when the data gets out of your computer, when it goes to the server. Now imagine server as a house, right? As a house. So imagine that it's like a decent sized house, not like a studio apartment or something like that. So it's a decent sized house. So if it's a decent sized house, usually you have the entry points. You got to get into it, right? From the main door, from the side door, from the back door, from the porch, from the deck, from the basement, whatever, right? So those are the entry points. So if it is a server will be receiving some data from outside, right? So if you are coming in using HTTP, you will be entering through a port on the server. That port is nothing but an entry point. So when you come through the web, you will be using a port called 80. That's the default port number. Interview question, when you're doing the web service testing, which particular port are we using? By default, we are using 80, port number 80, because HTTP uses port number 80. There are other ports. There are ports like 23, port number 587, port number 25, port. So there are different ports. Those ports are for different protocols. There is something called FTP, file transfer protocol. If I have a file here on my machine, and if I want to send it to my server in London, so how can I send it? I'm not gonna put it in a bag, go to the airport, and in couple of blink of an eye, my file will be in London. Right? The reason for that is I'm using a protocol called FTP protocol. So FTP uses its own port number. you're sending and receiving emails. Those are called SMTP, Simple Mail Transfer Protocol. And then there is something called a Post Office Protocol, POP3 protocol. So they all have certain port numbers. Now, fortunately, unfortunately, we are not discussing about emails. We are not discussing about, doing this. So I'll not be getting into that. So my talk is going to be based on web service testing. So the web service will also be using web service. When we test web service, we'll also be using the HTTP protocol. So let me focus a little bit on the HTTP protocol. HTTP protocol is nothing but some set of rules that you have to follow when you're moving data back and forth between two computers. So this is a computer, my computer, and I'm connecting to AT&T server. So when I send the data, it went on through the port number 80 and it went to this server. So let's talk a little bit about the server. So when the developers are deploying it onto a server, what kind of operating system will be on the server? Again, we talked about it. It could be basically Unix, it could be Linux, it could be Windows. Usually this is the norm, right? I mean, we can talk about what flavor of Unix, Sun Solaris, or Linux, maybe Mandrake. In case of Windows, maybe Windows Server 2012. Now, we don't really have to get into those nitty-gritty details of the operating system, what version, what service pack, and all that. That's more like the network admins and DevOps guys and stuff like that. For us, for testers, it is enough to know that when we deploy, there will be a server. The server could be one of those. So we know about that. Okay, very good. Now, the other most important thing that you have to know is when you are testing a web service. Notice I have not talked to you anything about the web service yet, right? But for now, imagine the web service just as some code, right? So when we are testing the web service, one thing that is important is when the developers are deployed it onto the server, that server will have the operating system. But one important piece of software that has to be there on the server, that piece of software is called the app server or the web server software or app server software. Now, what is a web server software? What is this app server? Now, if you heard about names like Apache, right, or Tomcat, or WebSphere, right, or WebLogic, or IIS, Internet Information Server, right? Now, if you have heard about these are different companies, but the software, the different brands of software, but the software is a web server software. So what does a web server software do? So whenever you have your web application, that web application, think about this web application, all these pages are web application. The web application will not work unless you have one out of these web server softwares. Now, these are different choices depending on what your architect had decided, and these are based on your cost and based on your volume, on your traffic and stuff like that. IIS is supposedly one of the most popular ones out there. WebSphere is also a big one. WebLogic is also a big one. But majority of the times, these are the ones that you will find it. So what is the job of a web server? The job of a web server is, think about it. Now, you have something in your house, right? And somebody needs it, so they come to the door and then they are knocking at the door. If they're knocking at the door, let's say if somebody is knocking at the door, I am inside the house right now, right? Somebody is knocking at the door. If I don't get up and get to the door, that person will just leave, right? Meaning that even though I have something in the house what that person needs, but till we go and acknowledge the request. So when we send some data in here, the data is going to come in here and the data will be here. And at port number 80, some of the software like IIS or WebLogic or WebSphere, they have to go and look into who is knocking at this port. What do they want? So if you look at what I just did, I went from, if you see here, I went from this login action, whatever that is, and I entered some information and I clicked on that. So I sent from here some information to the server, and when you send the information to the server, the web server will look at the look at the request, and they will take the request, and then they will go to the code, and the code has to basically take whatever I am sending, which is the phone number and the password, and then the code will run, and the code there is check in the database. So there will be a database, and they will check my information, my username and password. My username is whatever my username is, my password is whatever. If the one that I sent doesn't match with what I have, it is going to come back and say that it doesn't match what we have on our files, right? Okay, now all this is good. Where is the web service in all this, right? All this is good. Where is the web service? Now here is what you should know. Now, can I log in from my phone, right? So on phones, of course, if I downloaded my AT&T app, if I downloaded on my phone, right, on my smartphone, or if I downloaded on my tablet, right, I should be able to do pretty much the same. So that means that I don't have to create some software here on the server, right? On the client, I might have to create a different software on the client so that it can run on my phone, or it can run on my tablet. But when it comes to checking against the database and all that, this code which is sitting in here, this code, that code will work irrespective of if I'm sending it from the phone, if I'm sending it from my tablet, if I'm sending it from my computer, that code should work. So if I have some code that is serving over the web, if I have some code that is serving over the web to whoever is calling it, that particular code is a web service code. So in short, web service is nothing but some code, right? Exactly, it is some code that is going to reside on the server. So a web service is some code written in some language, whether it is .NET language, C#, whether it is Java, whether it is any other, it really doesn't matter. It is some code that is residing on the server, right? And it is going to provide service to any of the consumers, and that can be a smartphone, that can be a tablet or whatnot. Now let's go a little bit further on describing the web service, right? Okay, so we said it is going to be some code, right? Now let us have some understanding of what code is, right? Even though we are not programmers, but let's understand what code is, right? Okay, here the application was what they supposed to log in, right? Login application, and they will give me username and password. So the code is nothing but a function. A developer had written a function. So if you have done some programming in your previous life, whether in your college, whether in your school, whether in your previous, so you would know that a code is nothing but a program written using some programming language. So whenever you're writing programs, you will be using some language. So language can be anything. We don't care. As a tester, I really don't care about that language, right? I mean, it really, none of my business if they have used Java or .NET or PHP or C++ or C or whatever, right? Really doesn't matter. What I need to know is, let's say when they created this, they would have named it as, let's say they would have named it as login as a function. So a code is nothing but it's some functions that they would have written. So one of the functions that makes some logical sense to me is, if it is about login, maybe they might have named it as login, right? Okay, so login is a function. So if I'm writing a function, this is how I write a function. Again, don't worry about this because we are not developers. I'm trying to show you how a developer would have written this function. So he would have written a function called login, right? Login. And here inside the function, it'll be like, okay, the username and the password we would have received from there, right? And then he would have written check in the database, something like that. So he would have written all this code. So now the big thing that you and I have to understand is this code, whatever code they are writing. I'm just giving you an example of one function, login, right? And once we get the idea of this login, then understanding web services will become so easy that you will be like whistling, and you would be like, you will have the eureka moment, right? I mean, the guy jumped out of his bathtub. I don't want you to jump out of your bathtub, but try and get the same feeling, hopefully, when you understand, what exactly is it. Because I'm going to give you, in such a way that it will be remembered forever, and it really doesn't matter what kind of application it is. Once you understand this, then I will take you to different applications, and then you will tell me. I don't even have to say anything. You will tell me that this is what is happening, and there's a trick to it, and let me walk you through that in step by step. So bear with me for a minute here while we are talking about this login. So if this is a login, now the developer would have created this function login. Right? Now, for login to work, right, do you think login will work or not work by itself? Do you think that we should for this login function, we should supply, or we should send, or we should provide some information for this login so that they can check in the database? Do you think so? You say, come on, yeah, exactly. What do you think we should provide? Said we should provide username and password. So now for this login function to work, we have to send to this login. We have to send, let's say username and password, right? Let's say the minimum, these two things. So these two things are called parameters. So in a web service, we have function or functions. Let's talk about a function. And for a function to work, sometimes the function needs parameters. So if we are talking about a web service, I need to know that in a web service there will be function or functions, and those functions might need, majority of the time they need parameters, right? Okay, very good. Now, so if I send username here, and if I send password to it, so it'll take the username and password, it'll check in the database, and then when it checks in the database, maybe it'll come back as true, meaning that it found it, or false, it did not find it, let's say, right? So if it found it in the database, if it is a true, then this login probably will send something back, right? Saying that, welcome, or whatever. Or if it is false, it'll again send something. So a function will receive some parameters, and it will also send back some information. So in a web service, can I say that in a web service there will be a function that will receive, let's say if this is a web service will have a function, right? Function A, let's say. So that function A will receive some parameters, and this function A will send back some information, right? Will send back some. So here, one more time, a web service is nothing but some code. It is made up of functions, and those functions can take parameters, and then they will return, they will return some information. So far makes sense? Not necessarily a very technical definition, but is it making sense so far? If it is making sense, right? Now let's try to give a technical shape to it, slowly, step by step. All right? Okay. So now if I tell you that in a web service, we will have functions. Those functions are referred as, in a web service we will have functions. Those functions are referred to as operations. So operations are nothing but It is the technical jargon of a web service, meaning that in web service you don't call them functions. So in regular language, a programmer will call it code, and then he or she will call it functions. In case of web services, right, terminology, we are calling that, we are not calling it as a code, we are calling it as a web service. A web service is nothing but some code. So in a web service, there will be operations. Operations are what? Nothing but functions, right? Functions. So these operations can take parameters, right? Now, if it can take parameters, tell me, let's say, if there is an operation that is going to check your FICO score, your credit history, right? Now, I want you all to try and give me whatever you could from a general perspective, right? Let's say if a company wants to check my credit, right? My FICO score. They want to give me a credit card. They want to check my FICO score. So let's say there is a web service like that. So the web service name is FICO Serve, something like that. And one of their functions there is, right, check credit, right? Now, check credit is an operation. So what kind of parameters do you think the check credit will take? Help me out here. For the check credit, if they want to check my credit, what do you think I should give them? Somebody said social security number. Beautiful. That's one parameter, right? I mean, liability would be a general statement. Let's be specific. So the next one would be name, and what else? Social security number, name is fine. Now, what else do you enter? What else do you enter? Like social security, name, and what else? Okay, date of birth would be another one, right? Okay, and if you say that, probably they would ask you for the address, they would ask you for things like that. Primarily, these they make sense, correct? So check credit is an operation of a web service that will take some parameters, right? And what do you think check credit is going to return you back? Just help me out here, right? So if it is a report, if they send you back, let's say a report, in that report will be some information. What is the most critical information in that report? The most critical information in that report is, let's say your score is, FICO score is, it could be anything between, I think, 350 to 800. I think I could be wrong, but I mean, mine is somewhere in the middle in here, so it'll give you a number here. I mean, if you are in 350, that means that you're dead, right? And if you're 800, probably you're dead too. Because no living person would have a score of 800, I guess. I mean, I have not seen anybody having that kind of a score. I mean, I know some people who have really maintained their credit. So let's say it'll be a number in between. So the point that I want to make in here is you will be testing a web service from a company, let's say is FICO Serve, right? So FICO Serve is a web service. They will have one or more operations, and one of the operation is check credit. It will expect some parameters, and what it is going to give you is, again, return data type, or return data would be a number somewhere in between, right, of that. So this is one form of web service. Now, so far you got some idea of this web service, right? Okay, now here we go. I am going to walk you through a real life web service, right? A real life web service we are going to test now, right? Okay, so I will give you a bigger picture, and then we will scale it down to a point where we are actually going to test that web service. So if I take you to an application, the application could be, something similar to what you are seeing in here, something similar to that, right? Now, I'll take you to an application where I could show you what kind of web service we will be testing. So if you look at an application, that application need not be completely made up of a web service. Portion of it could be a web service, right? Portion of it could be the web service code. So what is web service? Again, web service is something which is residing on the server, some code which is residing on the server. For you to test a web service, you need to know what that web service, what is the name of that web service, what kind of operations that web service has, right? Okay, so let's say fast forward, a couple of weeks, and you are done with this course. You say, I just walked in and he's talking about being done with this course. Let's, make believe that you have done, and you have learned everything so good that you applied for a job and you got the interview done in a fantastic way, like this other guy yesterday, who just watched the videos from YouTube and got a job. So you get a job and you are working for a company called, let's say, ePay Systems. Welcome to ePay Systems, right? Okay. Little bit profile of this company. This company is primarily responsible for processing credit card transactions, right? I mean, I was in San Francisco on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, right? So while I was coming back at the airport, right? I was there for 4 days, actually. Thursday evening, I went there. So Friday, I was there. Saturday, I was there. Sunday, I was there. Late night Sunday, I was coming back. So my flight was at 9:30 in the evening from San Francisco, coming back to New Jersey. So I was by the gate around like 8 o'clock, right? Little hour and a half early. And then I went to get my coffee. I took the coffee and my card declined. Right? And if you have a beautiful girl on the other side, you don't want your card to decline at the time. You don't want it to decline, but it did decline. So I mean, I carry like 2-3 credit cards, and it was just a coffee. But the fact that I was using my cards like crazy because I went into a cruise, I went into that, and there's a Super Bowl 50 happening there next week. So I used it so much that they just try to make sure that it was not being abused or what, but I was paying for the hotels, for the rental car, for this and that. But when it comes to like coffee, I think, $2 coffee, $3 coffee, they just stopped it. So anyways, to make the long story short, the point that I want to make in here is, like me, in that airport, thousands of people, hundreds of people were buying stuff at the airport, just the airport. And this is one airport in United States. There are hundreds of airports in the United States. There's not just airports. You name. So point is, there's so much of credit card processing happens in a day. Forget about a day. In an hour, there are millions and billions of dollars of processing is happening. So this ePay system is a company that does what? That processes it. So imagine this. They have hundreds of servers in here. This is their code. Right? This is their code. Now they are the processors, meaning there could be some sites. There could be like, let's say, hotwire.com. There could be priceline.com. There could be hilton.com. Now, and then there could be, let's say, avis.com, right? Okay. Now, Hilton about hotel. Avis about rental car, Priceline about my cruise. Oh no, Hotwire is about my cruise, and Priceline, I don't even know what I did with that. Now, point is, I was making reservations, right? And part of the reservation was enter your credit card. Now, there are big companies out there that will process your transaction. So Priceline would have sent my transaction, right? Would have sent my transaction to ePay Systems. Hotwire would have sent, right? I'm not saying that everyone is using ePay system, but they would be sending my transactions, right? Okay, think about it. In that transaction, what are they sending it to ePay systems? ePay systems is the processor, right? They will process the cards. So their job is, they will say that, okay, we have web services here. You provide me, if you want to use my web service, my job is I will charge you, let's say 0.1%. Let's say, I'm just throwing out a number, 0.1%, or maybe let's say 1%. They're going to charge 1% to Priceline and to Hotwire to process the transaction. So let's say there was a $100 transaction that is coming in here. So these guys, they will keep $1 and then they will give $99 back. So Hotwire will not have a headache of writing all their own code to do the credit card processing. They would have used a third party like that, right? ePay system. So ePay system is a third party provider of processing the credit cards, right? And we have been employed by them. Our job is to, whoever developers they have written this, we have to go and test this web service. Why? Because once we certify that these web services are fully functional and working, then they will go into production, and then they'll have thousands of these vendors. They will be using their service, right? Hotwire would be one, Priceline would be one, Hilton would be one, this would be one, and God knows what, right? I mean, many people would be using. So they hired an intelligent or a very, very smart group of testers who are you guys, 15 of you guys who basically would be responsible for testing it. So now the story begins here. So you are there at day one. What are you going to do? You say that, well, I already took a training from Irfan about web service testing. I should be ready. So how would you start, right? So basically, this is what will happen. Anything about the web services and all that there will be documentation that you have to pay attention to. The technical documentation, that is called WSDL, right? Okay, what is WSDL? Web Service Description Language. Web Service Description Language. What this is it is going to describe your web service. Now you would say, what is there to describe about a web service? Well, what is there to describe about the web service? A web service has what? A web service has operations. So this document will tell you everything about the operations of that ePay system web service. The operations is nothing but functions. How many functions do you think will be there in their ePay system? 1, 2, 3, 4, probably hundreds of operations will be there, right? One will be to void a sale. Void, sort of like canceling it. The other one would be to do a sale. The other one would be authorization. Authorization, when you go to a rental car, right? You give the credit card to them. They're not charging you. They're holding the money because they don't know how much to charge you, because you might be running some tolls. You might be, having some traffic ticket. I mean, whatever you would be doing. So they will hold some money. So authorization is basically running the card and holding that money, not taking that money, just holding it. And when the transaction, when you return your car, no tickets, no nothing, then they will release it. So there will be another operation called. So there will be hundreds of operations like that, right? So we got to be knowing through the documentation, which is WSDL, what the web service exposes. So exposing, don't get crazy about the word. Exposing here is basically, showing to you, sharing with you the operations. What are the operations? So that WSDL documentation will be showing you what those operations are. Oh, by the way, we said operations will take parameters. Well, for you to void a transaction, you need some You need some parameters. What was the when you do a sale, you have to provide some parameters. So if you're voiding it, voiding means canceling it, let's say. So you have to provide something like a receipt number or something like a confirmation number. So that would be the parameter that you have to pass to it. For a sale, for you to run, for ePay system to run your card, what do you think the minimum that you have to provide to run a card? Can somebody help me? What is the minimum information do you think you have to provide to that web service, to the operation of a web service to run, to do a sale? Help me out here. Yeah, what would be the minimum? So if I'm let's say booking a room, right? What do you think the minimum information that is needed, right, for them to process it, right? Now, I mean, talk to me. Tell me what do you think I have to give to ePay system so that they can process my credit card? Well, how about the credit card number? How about the credit card number, right? If you want to process, if I'm booking a room, if somebody's on the other side, right? What do they need for them to run my card? They need the credit card number, right? They will say, give me your credit card number. Okay, so credit card number, let's say CC is for credit card number. What else? And Mike says expiration date. So credit card expiration date, and the expiration usually is month, and credit card expiration year, right? And what else? Number, expiration, year. And they also ask you something, right? Of course, the amount would be there, but are these the only thing? There is something they usually ask, like, can you turn the back of the card, right? So CVV2, right? Back of the card, they're asking. And then, of course, they're asking the name and all that, right? But if you go to a gas station, let's say, right? If you give the card to a gas station, right? Now, is he, and I don't know about most of you folks are like young, guys here, but I remember, when I came here to America about 25 years back. I'm originally from India, by the way. So when I came here, at that time, when I got my first credit card, I was like, wow, I am a rich guy. I have a credit card, because back in India, we had nothing. We used to carry like, change in our pockets. India is becoming a rich country now, but back in those days, there's nothing there. Anyway, so the credit card I got the first time, there used to be like a store like CompuCity or Computer, some I don't remember the name, but they had like a hardware thing. They'll CompUSA. Yeah, thank you for reminding me, Mike. So I'll put my credit card, and then they're not swiping. It was something like a iron or something, and it will go through it, and then it'll imprint my card number and everything on a piece of paper, right? So point is, minimum that you need to provide is the number, expiration, and this. And at that time, there was not even that CVV2 at that time. So these were the minimum things. But let's say today we need that CVV2. But they gas station guy, he would not ask me for my name to fill gas. I mean, so he just needs, so bare minimum what they need is this, right? So if I have to test, in my documentation, my WSDL documentation, will be all the details about the operations, about what those operations in terms of void, sale, authorization, release, blah, 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 right? And then for each such operation, what kind of parameters it is going to take, right? So once I have that information from the WSDL, right, then I need to have a tool to test it, right? So here we go. So I am going to go and get that tool right now. So I'm going to go and get that tool right now to do the testing. So the tool would be, I could Google and I could say, download SoapUI. right? When I do that, of course, it's going to take me here, right? And as you can see, I can basically go and then download it. All right, so as I'm downloading it, notice it says SoapUI open source and SoapUI NG Pro. Now, if you even come in here and scroll down, this is what it is, SoapUI, right? And you could download it. And if you notice, depending on your operating system, for one, I have this operating system. I could go from start to control panel, and I'm gonna go to system, and this tells me what is my operating system. So if you see, I have a 64-bit operating system, right? So let us do this. If you see here, Windows 64-bit, I can go ahead and I could download it, right? Okay, now if I download it, SoapUI 5.2.1 is 113 megabyte. SoapUI 64-bit 5.2.1. Okay, on my machine, I'm just going to cancel it. On my machine, right? If you want to follow me, then create a folder on your machine called SoapUI Training, right? I did create SoapUI Training. So in there, I have something called SoapUI_software. And if you see here, in my previous batches, I was downloading it, so you could see that this is the latest version now. SoapUI 64 5.2.1, right? From Smartware. So you just double click it, right? You double click it, and then it is going through the installation. So you will double click and you will install. So the installation, you don't have to do anything. Just click, 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 and then it is going to go and then it is going to install it. So I'm not going to run it because I already have it installed. If you have any problem with the installation and all that, you could get in touch with me, and then I will show you as how to do that. For now, I am talking about the SoapUI non-pro open source. So we downloaded it, and once we install it, right, you will see something like this. And I mean, if you look at it, I have intentionally kept this slightly older version and the newer version just to show it to you that on your machine, you can have, for backward compatibility, an older version, newer version, and also the Pro version. And if you see here, ReadyAPI 1.5.0, this is the Pro version. I have all of them sitting on the same machine, right? I have all of them sitting on the same machine. So that should answer the interview question. Can you have the Pro version and the non-Pro version on the same machine? Of course you could. Of course you could, right? And this is what it is. So I don't want you to install everything yet, but after today, you should have downloaded and installed the non-pro open source. Any questions on where I went and how I downloaded and how I installed it? I mean, I made some assumptions that, that when you click on it, it is going to go smooth, and it will go smooth unless you tell me that there is going to be a problem, because it doesn't need anything but you to keep clicking next, 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 and then you will have the following. Okay, what I am going to do right now is I'm opening up SoapUI as the tool to do the testing of ePay Systems web service. Okay, what is your understanding of a web service? A web service is some code which is sitting on the server, right? Okay, where is ePay Systems server? I don't know. Well, if you don't know, how are you going to test it? How are you going to test it, right? Okay, now we said earlier that when you go to ePay Systems, right, they are going to provide you with WSDL. WSDL will have in it ABC. Now you would say, what do you mean ABC? What I know WSDL is some documentation. It is going to describe my web service, that I know, but what is this ABC? Well, while describing, it will describe about the address or location of the web service. A is for address. What else is it going to describe? It is going to describe about the binding and the contract. Oh, the address I can understand, but I don't know what is binding and contract. What is binding and contract? Well, okay, the contract between you and me is I am going to transfer this knowledge, right? It'll happen on Tuesdays and Thursdays, right? It'll happen from 8:30 to 10:30 p.m. Now, if you are waiting for me on a Wednesday, opening your computer, waiting for me, you're not going to find me there because the contract says that, this and that. So you understand what the contract is as far as you and me is concerned. Now, how about this contract here? What is this contract? Well, this contract is I am a trainer, so I could be training on Wednesday, I could be training on Thursday, I could be training on Saturday, on Sunday. Now, that doesn't mean that you will be, seeing me on Wednesday because you have paid for this course, SoapUI, and SoapUI is, the contract is here, right? Okay, so the contract of a web service is there can be inside that ePay system 100 or 200 or 500 different operations, right? Now, according to the WSDL that they will be sharing, the ones that we are going to test will be the part of that contract. So anything that gets exposed is shared through the WSDL is what we will be testing. So as ePay systems, they might have 384 different operations. If it is not in that WSDL, that is not part of our contract. So the contract will reflect all the operations that we are going to be testing. So the contract will give you the names of the operations that we'll be testing, right? Okay. Apart from the names, name would be sale, right? Now, I would totally be guessing if I say that, the sale should take my name, it should take my gender, it should take, you'd say, gender? Why gender? So now I am guessing. I know the operation I have to test from the contract, but I don't know what is binding in terms of do I have to send gender or not. So basically your binding is going to give you some more information about your parameters, right? And the data type of the parameters that you have to pass as a part of the contract. So binding and contract, they kind of like go hand in hand. You cannot be working with one and not knowing the other. So address is, okay, where it is. Binding and contract is all about the operations that they are going to expose and the details of the parameters that I need to pass in terms of data types. As an example of a data type, the CVV2, right? Can that be ABC? No, it has to be a number. The back of my card is that number, right? Okay, so that means in the contract I have to test sale, and the sale says that I have to provide CC num, I have to provide CC expiration month, I have to provide CC expiration year, and I have to provide CVV2. And according to my binding and my contract, this cannot be an alphabet, right? It has to be a number. So all such information is in the WSDL, right? Now, what if I tell you this WSDL is in Slovakian language, or this is in gibberish, you would say, what? It has to be in a language that I can understand. It has to be in English. But if you ask the Slovakian, he would say, oh, no, I need it in Slovakian. A German would say, I need it in German. So basically, neither it is in English, nor German, nor Slovakian, nor it is in a language called XML, right? Now, if I show you this WSDL, since it is in XML, would you be able to understand it today? The answer is, I don't know, because I don't know XML. If I tell you I can teach you XML in 3 minutes, and that is not an exaggeration, maybe it is, 5 minutes. If I tell you that I will teach you XML in 5 minutes, you probably are like, whoa, is he a magician or is he just fluffing here? Because how in the world can somebody teach me XML in 5 minutes? Well, and there are some tricks. There are some tricks. So I will be teaching you some tricks of the trade when it comes to web service testing. You will shine like a star. You will be glittering at work. People are going to be like almost bow. No, they won't bow to you, but they will be like, amazed at wow, what happened? What transformation happened to this guy? 2 days back, he was a different guy. Some revelation happened to him at TrainingRite, and all of a sudden he knows now, right? So, boy. So basically, we will be learning some tricks and all that. So today I will not be showing you. The reason I'm not going to be showing you this today is because we have a lot of people who are not registered. They are here just to audit. So I don't want to give out everything to them, right, as a freebie. So we have a 2-hour class. They are watching me. They are watching how we're going to be doing it. But I just don't want to give it away. So all the goodies are going to be coming once they register and once they go for this course. So the tricks as how to deal with, how to understand this WSDL in 5 minutes or less than 5 minutes is coming in the second class. Right now, we make believe that we are at ePay systems. We are going to test a web service. So we should be looking for WSDL. So here is the WSDL, right? I'm going to give you the WSDL. Here is the WSDL. So we're going to go and I will be sharing with you. These are all these web services that we will be testing, the REST and the web. So we're going to start off with this web service. So here is the WSDL. So they will give you this. This is the WSDL. They will give you ePay system manager there, right? Or your team lead is going to give you the WSDL. So once you look at the WSDL, so this is how you're going to be looking at the WSDL. So you would go to the browser, you would do this and hit enter. When you do that, this is that gibberish. This is that Slovakian, or this is that German. You're like, whoa, this is, I don't know what this is. This is really looking to me like Slovakian or gibberish, right? Now, this is that trick that I was telling you. In 5 minutes, you will not only understand this in 5 minutes, which I'll show it to you in the next class, you will understand any web service that is out there. So let's say if I take you to this one and show you this one, you would say, oh, no problem. Okay, this is, okay, this probably I could do it in like 4 minutes because this looks a little smaller, right? So right now we don't know what it is, but when you come back on Thursday, we will know it in less than 5 minutes. That's my challenge, and I will show it to you, right, in less than a few minutes. Okay, now that I am not sharing that part, but we still would be testing the web service. To test the web service, we have to start the tool, and here we are, right? Here we are. Let me walk you through the tool first. Like any other tool, this tool has the menu items on the top, right? Menu items. If you look at Word as Microsoft Word, it'll have menu items. It also has this toolbar, right? Toolbar. So nothing different, right? Pretty much the same. What these means, we don't know yet, but that's what the course is all about. We'll be talking about that. Okay, now notice that there is a left side, and this is the left side top part, and then there is a left side bottom part. There's a left side bottom part, right? And this is the right side. Left side top, left side bottom, right side. Okay, how about this? Now, we will start right from scratch. So when you open SoapUI, first thing you do is you go to File and you say New Workspace. Now that brings us to an interesting question. What is a workspace? What is a workspace? Well, we are working with ePay systems, correct? Now, this could be one of the builds, the first builds of the ePay system. The developers, they have created this build and they want, so let's name the build. So this build, let's say build, I'm just gonna make it 02022016, something like that, right? Okay, a workspace is an area where you would like to keep all your work, anything related to your work. So what is my work here now? About testing the web service of the ePay system of this build. So let me name the workspace like that. And after that, hit OK. And when I do that, it's saying, where should I save it? Well, save it in this folder. Did I tell you to create a folder? If you want to be organized, like if you look at my machine, I have everything very, very nicely organized. If you wake me up 2 in the morning and say that, hey, I need you to give me the code of the SoapUI training that you ran in the year 2014 in the month of April, I'll go and then get you that because it is in SoapUI training. That's the folder. And I have the workspaces, right? This is the workspace. I've created the work. So you have to create a folder called SoapUI workspace. It is not going to be there. Everything is, we are doing it. So create a folder SoapUI training, create a folder SoapUI workspaces, and inside workspaces, you should save your ePay build, right? Okay, we saved it. And once we save it, if there is something in here, it says that, hey, we are trying to move to a newer, switching the workspace. Do you want to save this? When you are doing it, this is not going to be popping up. So when I do that, this is my workspace. See that? My workspace. Okay, I'm going to take a pause in here just so that we know that we are all on the same page. So I started off by saying that download SoapUI non-pro from SoapUI.org. We went there, we downloaded it, we installed it. After we installed it, I opened it and I said that there's a left top, left bottom, there's a right side, and we should go and create a workspace, and I created a workspace. So far, so good? Yeah. Let's move to the next step. After we create the workspace, the next thing that we got to do is we are testing a project. So I will go File, and then create a new project. Now, there are two types of web services. There is a SOAP web service, and then there's a REST web service. Now, we hardly know a web service. We don't know what is a SOAP web service, what is a REST web service. Again, tomorrow. Right now, we are testing a SOAP web service. Now, SOAP stands for Simple Object Access Protocol, right? Tomorrow, there will be a 2-hour, when I say tomorrow, basically the next class. So there will be a 2-hour in-depth explanation along with hands-on of the SOAP project. It's not SoapUI. SoapUI is a tool. SOAP is a protocol. Like HTTP is a protocol, SOAP is a protocol. We will talk about something called envelopes. We'll talk about something called payloads. We'll talk about, how you move the messages back and forth using the SOAP protocol by encapsulating the data, the payload into a message and moving the message between the client and the server. So all that we will be doing to us. So right now, we got to take one of the projects, so the SOAP project, because what I am testing is a SOAP. So once this window pops up, it is asking you, give the name to this project. Oh, this is ePay systems, and this is for the build, and this is 02/02/2016, the same name I have given, right? Or let's say just to distinguish, testing, right? Or web service testing, WS testing, okay? All right, now initial WSDL. Give the path of the WSDL. Okay, I copied it. So here is the WSDL. Now, notice it has to end with a question mark and the word WSDL, WSDL. It has to. So you will be given, right? All paid guys will be receiving this right away, right? Tonight I will give it to you, right? And then there are more that you would be seeing. Right, and for the rest of you folks, you will not be getting it till you register. So we will be doing Google down the road. We will be doing Realtor. We'll be doing Twitter. We'll be doing, we'll be doing many, right? So don't worry about that. So coming back, project name, WSDL. The rest of them, just leave them as is. Leave them as is, right? Just hit OK. Hit OK. Right? And it is going to spin, and then lo and behold, what you see here is, okay, many things in here, right? Okay, just to put you at ease, let's go step by step. If you don't know what this top line is, when you click on that, the bottom line tells you what that is. So what I just touched is, this is a workspace. So what is this? Inside a workspace, we created a project. So if you see in here, this is a project, right? So let's come up with some hierarchy here. The hierarchy here is, you will, forgive me. So we will start off with, in SoapUI, we'll start off with a workspace, right? Inside a workspace, you will have a project. Inside the project, you will have an interface. Interface is going to expose to you operation or operations, and each operation will have a request that you have to send, and the request will take parameters. So this is the story. Today's story is, when you are working on a project, you have to have a workspace. Inside a workspace, you'll be creating a project. While creating a project, you have to come up with either the SOAP project or the REST project. So right now we have taken the SOAP project, and once everything is done, it is going to expose you interface. Now, depending on how the developer had created, they will give you one or more interfaces for backward compatibility, right? Okay, my handwriting is bad, but that's what I meant. So if I am in the project, if I expand the project, you expect to see interfaces. So as you see here, this one and that one, if I click on that, interface. So this is an interface. You will see one or more interfaces for a backward compatibility. So this is the latest one, SOAP. It says 12, but it is 1.2, right? SOAP 1.2 is the latest version of the SOAP protocol, and this is for backward compatibility. Inside the interface, this is the interface. Inside the interface is or what? Operation. So this interface is exposing these operations. How many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 operations. Inside each operation is a request, and request is all about sending. If I double click, I am sending what? The parameters to the server. Okay, if you see here, what you see here, it's too small. I'm just going to copy and open it in Notepad so that you could see what is this. And if you see here, let me bump it up a little bit, right? If you see here, what you see here is this is all XML. This is all XML, right? Okay, this is all XML. So I will be explaining this to you tomorrow, right? But understand, go on up here, understand that in a workspace, you'll have a project. Inside the project, you'll have interface. Interface can be one or more for backward compatibility. Each interface exposes operation or operations. Every operation will have a request, and request is a way of passing or sending the parameters to the server, right? To send the parameters to the server, you have to pass it knowing XML in the non-pro or the open source version of SoapUI. So that tells us that if we are using the pro version, right, even if you don't know XML, that's fine. But I'm not going to teach you things half-heartedly. I will make you an expert, meaning that you will know the pro version, you will also know the non-pro version, meaning that you have to learn a little bit of XML. And XML, I promised you that I would be teaching you in 5 minutes. So tomorrow. But for now, this is what we're going to be doing. We're going to be testing the web service. So let me continue testing the web service. So if I go here and okay, let me just get out of here, remove it, because somebody said, can you show it to me one more time? So here, this is the workspace. After the workspace, if you see after the workspace, sorry about that, 1 second. After the workspace, we know how to create the workspace. We have to create a project. To create a project, you have to have the WSDL, right, to create the project. So let me grab the WSDL again, one more time. I'm grabbing the WSDL. So I come in here and I go in here. Let me grab the WSDL. So let me take this WSDL. I got the WSDL, right? I come in here and I'm doing this. I'm trying to show you. You know as how to create the workspace. Now I'm creating the project. To create the project in this workspace, you will go File and you will say New SoapUI and you will give it a name. The name is ePay Systems Testing for the build, and the build is 02/02/2016, right? And here you will do that. Okay, rest of the stuff you take it as is, rest of the stuff, and and hit OK. The recorded session is going to be available in 45 minutes from now, Arif. So okay, coming back in here, if you look at it, right, again, this is the workspace, and whenever you feel scared, just collapse it so that you feel a little bit relaxed now. You don't get overwhelmed. So when you look at it, what is this? This is a project. So workspace, project, and can you tell me after workspace project, what should I be seeing? Now you would say that, oh, you should be seeing after workspace and project, you should be seeing the interface. Okay, let's see if I'm seeing the interface. And when you do that, this is one interface, this is the other interface. How do I know? When you click on that, this is what it is, interface. Why do I have more than one interface? Backward compatibility. So I will go with the latest one and expand. Inside the interface, what is it going to expose? Can somebody tell me what it exposes inside the interface? Okay, you said operations. Okay, beautiful. Operation. Is it an operation? It is an operation. So I have how many operations? Oh, you have dozen operations. Authorization, capture, cache advance, create customer, create password, Okay, let's look into inside the operation. What do you have inside the operation? Oh, inside the operation we have request. Okay, so here is the sale operation. I have the request. I have to double click on the request. Using request, what do? You pass parameters to the server, right? You pass the request to the server. So when we are passing the request to the server, you have to pass using this XML. So today I'm not going to explain too much of it, but one idea that I'm going to give you here is, let me take this, copy it, open it in Notepad, and just give you a quick and you don't have to sit and take it if you're not understanding it, right? Please try to interact with me. If you see here, the first one starts with SOAP envelope. This is called, in XML is made up of tags. So there is something called this root tag, or it is also called as node. And we will talk a little bit more about XML tomorrow. So this is the root node. Everything will be inside the root node. So if I cut it, if you see, this is the root node and this is the end of the root node. Everything is inside the root node. So what is there? There is a header and then there is a body. If you see, this is up to this is a body. There's a header, there's a body. So let me show you inside the body what we have. Inside the body, since I'm dealing with sale as an operation. So this is sale as an operation. I have something inside this. If you see inside this sale, I have what? I have this TM. I will show it to you. I'll explain to you what it is tomorrow. But if you see here, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 parameters. Those 5 are parameters. So we have 5 parameters in sale operation that I have to send some value to the server. And if you pay a little close attention to it, there's a question mark here. Question mark means that placeholder. That's where the data should come. So what data is coming? This is CC. So there will be an explanation of what this CC in the documentation. So this is the credit card number. Oh, this is the credit card number. Beautiful. This is expiration month. Oh, okay, month can be 12. This is CVV2, number 457. This is expiration year. It could be 19. Amount of it, $399 is what you are paying. This is the credit card that I'm going to process. So if you come in here, this is Notepad. Where should I be entering it? It's too small for you to see. Tomorrow I'll make it a little bigger. So here is the CC, credit card number. Okay, I entered the credit card number. And here is my expiration month, 12. This is the CVV2, 147. This is the year, 19, and amount is $399. So this is what we are processing. So this is what I am going to be sending to the server. I am sitting here, right, in New Jersey. I will be sending it to the server, and when I do that, hit that, it is going to take this information, go to this, how it takes it, where it goes, all I will explain it in the next class. So when you do it, what do you expect? You are sending XML data, and you should be expecting XML data. So the result you see is, oh, sorry, your transaction for the credit card number failed, right? So we sent a request to the web service. We got a response. So a web service is nothing but a request response mechanism. Through the request, you're passing the data to the web service, and the data will be packaged into an SOAP envelope, and that will encapsulate the payload that we are going to be passing to the operation. And the response again is coming back as an XML in a SOAP envelope, and the response is nothing but the result of the what? Of the request. the request is a sale or the operation is sale. So we are getting the result of the operation, and this in this case is a string that is coming back. Now, depending on what other web services that we will be testing, we'll be getting so many other things. Now what we got, what we sent, and what we got here is a simple web service testing. Now you don't really need a tool to do all this like SoapUI. So what is the tool going to do and help us with? The tool is going to help us with automation. And what is automation? Automation is the ability to pass hundreds of thousands of the credit card numbers, right? So we will be passing hundreds of credit card numbers, right? We'll be passing thousands of credit card numbers, right? We'll be passing so many, and we will be capturing the results. Now, when we send whatever we send, what is the response that is coming back? When we send, we are sending American Express, this one, this is the expiration, this is the expiration, this is the year, this is the amount, and what is the response that we are getting back? So the response that we are, so I have here what, 26, 2 dozen data. In real life, you'll have like, 500 different combinations, right, of the credit cards, of this and that. So now what you got to do is you have to do something called a data-driven testing. So the data-driven testing, how do we do all that? And that is what is coming tomorrow in the next class. When I say tomorrow, it is actually the next class. So if you see here, we'll be getting into creating something called a test suite. We'll be creating a test suite, and then we will be getting the data from Excel. We'll be passing that data from Excel to each of these operations. And then we will be inside the operations. Now I have hard-coded the data. The data has to come from Excel. The data has to come from Excel. So how can we pull the data from Excel, pass it here, and get this and take this information for hundreds of them and write it back again into Excel? See, this is what is coming back. This is what we will be capturing. Pass, fail, sorry, yes, 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 pass, fail, approve, pass. So we'll be getting that. So how are we going to be doing that? And that's the topic for the next class. So usually people, they do, companies who are training at training centers, they try to keep like data-driven testing and all that, usually for the tail end of the course. We're going to begin the course with data-driven testing. In tomorrow's class, we will be doing data-driven testing, bringing the data from Excel, passing it to the operations, and fetching the data from there, putting it, writing it back into Excel. That would be day 2. And you could imagine what is coming on day 3, day 4, day 5, day 6, day 7, day 8. So it is going to be a serious effort together. You and I, we will put together here. The end goal here is you should be getting a hefty paying job at the end of this course. And believe me, I am a little portion or a little part of it. You are going to be a major part of it to make this thing happen. My job is just to teach. I could be sitting here and then showing you how to do this, but you have to do these things. You have to do the assignments. You have to complete everything. Okay, ready for the assignment? Assignment number 1. I want you to send me a snapshot of what you're seeing, a screenshot of what you're seeing in here. That is your assignment. You would say, what are we getting out of it? What do we achieve with that? Here we go. Basically, if you could get me this, that means that you have not only downloaded SoapUI on your machine, but you have understood the concept of workspace, a project, an interface, operations, request, and the SOAP envelope and passing of the data by encapsulating, by putting the data into an XML envelope and sending it across and getting the response from it. So all that you would have achieved. So if I get a screenshot of it, I'm not too worried about what you get in here, because my goal here is to see if you followed everything and have you prepared the environment for what is coming, because preparation of the environment is the ability for you to download, install the tool and work the tool. And working of the tool is knowing as how to create a workspace, how to create a project, what is a WSDL, how to basically go and then have an interface, pull all the operations, what are the requests, what are the parameters that you're passing to the request, and then how do you put everything into the SOAP envelope in the XML format and get the data back. So that's what we covered on day 1, and we will be seeing you back again on Wednesday. For those of you folks who have not registered, here is basically your chance. You go to TrainingRite.com and you go ahead and then go under courses. You could go and then register for SoapUI. If you take the class, it is $3.99. If you take the videos, it's $2.99. So you could also have some combo by going with 3 courses for $7.99. There are so many other courses, like this is a hot one, Selenium with C#, and we don't usually discount it. It's a $500 course. That's a good course. Another good course here is there's a hot demand for this tool now, Coded UI, $4.99. So just these 2 courses are $500, and so you're getting everything for $7.99 for any 3 courses. Hot sell, a lot of people, they buy it. Okay, before I let you go, I'll take your questions, because I said we will have a Q&A session for about like few minutes. Start shooting your questions. So here's a question from, I installed the Pro version and non-Pro version, but will expire in 6 days. Shweta, don't worry about it. We will discuss about it tomorrow. Atta is asking, is $3.99 US or Canadian? I don't see much of a difference between Canadian or US. We are a US based company, so everything is in US dollars. I don't think there's much of a difference between Canadian and US dollars, few pennies here and there. So this is a US based company. We are based here in the United States, so the currency is US dollars. Okay, third question here is, the same question coming up, which is about the Pro version. Don't worry about it. I will show you in tomorrow's class everything about how to, work the Pro version. So don't worry about that. Okay, the question is, okay, is it going to be continuously for, or are they going to be? I don't know if there are any breaks. How much we love our partners, but I don't think we should break for Valentine's. I don't even know. Shame on me. I don't even know when Valentine's is. Is that on 14th? If it is on 14th, that's a Sunday. So we are a Tuesday, Thursday guys. So really doesn't matter if the Valentine is on 14th. Don't make fun of me. So I watch TV and I know when is Valentine's. So if I only purchase the videos, would I get the latest videos from this session? Absolutely, you will get the latest version, whatever you will get the just so that you get an idea here. The short answer to your question is yes, you will get the latest version, and you will also get the previous versions. So if I take you here for a minute, bear with me. Notice that we have been conducting so many different courses, Coded UI, C#, ETL, Git, Java for testers, Load Runner, JMeter, So let me take you to SoapUI here. So for SoapUI, I will give you the latest videos for SoapUI December batch. You will get which is just the previous one, and you will get the January batch and the February batch. So you'll get 3 sets of videos, right? And each one is 8 videos. So if you see here, this is 2 hours 13 minutes, 2 hours 3 minutes, 2 hours, 2 hours 11 minutes, 155, 2 hours and 4 minutes. So approximately about that time. Day 7 is 2 videos, 21 minutes and hour and a half. So that's what you're going to get. So don't worry about that. Okay, let's see. How long we see the videos. You'll see the videos for 1 year. So trust me, after 2 months, you'll get tired of me. You don't want to hear my voice after 2 months, because you will be an expert in 2 months, and if it'll be baby stuff for you at that time, because you will be such an expert. What would you do hearing about these things after 2 months? Because but to answer your question, you will have the videos for 1 year, so don't worry about it. You don't get the must watch videos with the video only option, right? We will basically we will not try to punish our friends, so we'll try to just give it away to them. Can we get the WSDL from Google Groups, or will you send it? I will. You have it in the Google Groups also, Shweta, so you could get it from the Google Groups, but I will be sending it to the registered students. So hang on while you are here. Let me give it to you, to everyone. Only the first one. I'm just gonna give it to you, to all of you, in case if you need it, for the assignments you need it. So here it is. Just copy it. I send it to all of you. Just copy it for day 1. The rest of them I will give it to you later on. Okay, that's about it. Now I'm not sure if you remember me. I ordered the JMeter videos about a month ago. Would I get discount for the second training videos? Oh boy. The videos are priced at $2.99. The videos are priced at $2.99. Anything less than that would be no, not this one. Anything less than that would be literally be like giving it away. So that's basically the price of it. SN, so I don't know what kind of discount we could give on a $2.99. Okay, so for the rest of you folks, please get in touch with us if you need any help. Now, anybody who is registered already, who had already paid, do me a favor. You should be receiving your link for the next class on Thursday by 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you don't get it, either call us or email. Email is a better option. So here is the email that I'm typing: trainingrite@gmail.com. Easy. Trainingrite@gmail.com. If you don't get your invites by 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Thursday, you should get in touch with me. By writing to trainingrite@gmail.com. Just say that I already registered, I did not get a link, and they will send it to you. Otherwise, we usually send it around that time on Thursday. All right. If you don't have any other questions, let's call it a day. That's fine. I appreciate the fact that you guys are here. So I'll see you folks again on Thursday. I can promise you this is going to be an excellent course. I will give you my 110%. That's a promise. And by the time you get out of this course, you will really appreciate yourself for taking this decision of joining this course, because I guarantee you that you would learn, and you would learn good stuff in this course. That is a promise. That is an assurance from me to you, as a sort of like a guarantee that it'll happen. Okay, I'll let you go. See you back on Thursday. You will be sending the assignment to trainingrite@gmail.com. You will be sending the assignment to trainingrite@gmail.com. Thank you. Have a good night. Bye-bye.